Today, we're looking at the Palm in my hand, specifically a Palm M125 PDA from 2001. Let's see what makes it tick. Before the dawn of the smartphone, we had the Personal Digital Assistant, or PDA, and one brand and product ruled the roost, the Palm Pilot. This is the successor, the Palm M125. In 2001, $250 would get you this, which is a contact book, calendar, notepad, calculator, snake, and discount Tetris in, well, the palm of your hand. It has a 160 by 160 black and white LCD screen with a resistive touchscreen on it, so you can peck away at it with the stylus to type, or, famously, it can transcribe your handwriting for taking notes. So, what makes this tick, and how hard was it to stuff all of this tech in here back at the turn of the millennium? Let's find out. Hello, Inside Everything. Today, we're looking at a Palm M125. This thing came out 6 years before the iPhone. I want to see what's inside of it, what makes it tick, and how it stacks up to, well, modern expectations and sensibilities. The thing that does defy modern expectations and sensibilities is that this was picked up out of a scrap electronics bucket at work, threw some batteries in it, and it still functions. It's been 25 years, it's still going strong. And, of course, it's got the classic flip cover. Still even has the stylus in here. Yeah, this is kind of beautiful. And let's dig into the CT scan. When we peel back all the plastic, we're left with 2 circuit boards, a display, and this clip dangling off the side. First question, what's that clip doing there? Well, that is what retains the stylus. Can we find the stylus on the scan? Coming along the y-axis, and here we are, 25 years later, going, hey, look at that. Horrible molding porosity down the middle of that stylus on this Palm Pilot from 25 years ago. They didn't care back then, they knew back then, but they have no reason to give a damn. Moving along, cute little detail on that spring. It's that on the stylus, we have this little groove. The spring is designed specifically to nudge into that groove and give you a good click in. I bet if you looked inside a Nintendo DS, you'd find very similar geometry, because I think they had a groove like that too. Next question I want to sort out is there anything different happening between the main display area and this bottom area on the Palm Pilot? Let's see what we can find. So, curiously, as we go through here, the first thing we find is we have our touchscreen digitizer. Now, calling it a digitizer might be being a little generous. This is a resistive touchscreen. So what we have is we have contacts for X and Y, and some membrane that kind of, when squished, creates an electrical connection, and you can read that out just by looking at the voltage that's present on the output. They're not nearly as sensitive or precise or as nice to use as capacitive, but there are times when I do miss resistive touchscreens, specifically when it's raining. That's it. That's the only time. That digitizer takes up the full useful area of our display. Because, while the two halves of the display, well, one half isn't really a display at all. Instead, it's this fixed graphic insert panel, which, if you're looking at this thing, well, it tracks. There's fixed graphics on the bottom showing touch targets, and then there's the actual LCD display above them. Anything we can find about the LCD display? You can see the ribbon cables running in to drive it. But LCDs tend to have structures that are a little too small, as in too thin, to really pick up on the luma field. However, we do have the drive circuitry for it, immediately underneath. So here we are. We've arrived at the full circuit board for the Palm M125. And what immediately stands out is we have this large BGA component soldered onto the board here. Below that, there's I guess that would be a TSOP package, and there's a couple other components sprinkled around here, including a clock, a piezo bender to actually give you some audio feedback. Alongside all the chips on this circuit board, we also have a battery installed right here. And this is a permanent primary cell battery. What that's doing is it's providing voltage to this memory chip over here. What that memory chip is doing is it's holding all of the storage and data that's actually inside of this device. If this battery dies, all your data is gone. Sure enough, 25 years later, that battery is dead. So, when I booted this thing up, it remembers nothing of its last life, probably in 2006, 2007? So that raises the question of, what are these other chips on the board? And given their proximity to the SD card slot, I'm just gonna assume there's something to do with interfacing with that. Although curiously, if we move on down through the sandwich, we'll find that directly on the opposite side of the board from our main processor, we have an entire other chip. And I've made a mistake here. This chip is on the bottom of the board. There's just a spot on the top of the board where you could install it instead, or perhaps in addition to. Now, if we're looking at the Wikipedia article for this, the M125, powered by the Motorola Dragon Ball processor.
Me, Goku!
The thing that stands out about this device, looking at it now, is the relative simplicity of it. They weren't exactly scrambling to fit more stuff into this package. They didn't feel too constrained by the package and format. There was still room on this board. They could have added more stuff, but they had a particular goal in mind, and they constructed it to that goal and went, okay, we're done. That's all it needs to do, which is a laudable approach to this design. This, in 2001, wouldn't really be blowing anyone's socks off. Being able to play Snake and Tetris on a portable device wasn't a new thing, nor was something that could keep track of your contacts, but this was still regarded as the industry standard in the way to keep track of all your stuff on the go. One fun little detail I'm noticing here is the power button at the top here. You click and it turns the screen back on. There's no circuit board underneath that button. So how are you pressing a button that's on the circuit board? Well, the tactile switch is right over here. And with it over there, you need to have your injection molded part, that's actually your button, have a 1/4 inch long leg on it to swing out and actually intersect with that button. Looking a bit closer at the display, the one thing that actually stands out, other than this just being kind of a, like it's electronics. Unfortunately, there's only so much you can dig in to see, is this name, PickView. Who were they? Okay, this wasn't what I expected. One interesting bit of contrast between the Palm Pilot that we're looking at and, say, this Nokia is the way that they've approached shielding and electromagnetic interference. Cut a long story short, they haven't. Everything on this is just running naked. And that kind of makes sense. There is no radio communication taking place off of this. If you want to connect the external device to this, you use that docking port on the bottom, or what I'm pretty sure is an infrared transceiver in this top corner. Because of that, well, it doesn't really matter how poorly shielded your electronics are. And also, it's not doing all that much, so you're not going to have a whole lot to leak out in the first place. But is that an infrared transceiver? Let's take a little look. Oh, that totally is. Yeah, and a rather fancy one at that. Yeah, here in the top corner, we have an infrared receiver and transmitter. Not certain which one's which. And those are actually going to form a IRDA data link. Let's see, is there any way of bringing that up? Yeah, you got a little tiny bit of infrared that we can pick up on this camera. Yeah, haha! Okay, it's easy to be enthusiastic about tech that you don't have to concern yourself with the consequences and difficulties of, but I think infrared communication is a really cool way of approaching just this low bandwidth communication. You want to send a contact card, just shine a light and Morse code it, essentially. The other fun thing about that is that on modern-ish phones, before all the brands ditched this for some reason, you can actually use that infrared transceiver to transmit TV remote signals that all of your AV hardware would pick up. So you could control your TV from your phone with an app and just have it blink lights towards your devices. Something always seems to get lost when we move on to brighter times and cooler technology. However, despite not needing EMI shielding, we do still have this big metal can built up around the entire circuit board and bonded on the sides. And the reason for that is because that's actually the frame. This whole thing is just a circuit board with a plastic shell around it and a screen glued to the front. And this metal frame is what really fills out the whole volume and gives it a bit of stiffness. Like this doesn't have any flexure or bend to it. My new smartphone, which is a metal frame, has way more flexure to it than this does. So that's kind of cool. At the end of the day though, this whole device is essentially one microprocessor, a flash chip, a RAM chip, and some supporting hardware. There's not a whole lot going on in it, but then it's not trying to do too much. This thing wasn't insane tech for the times. It was just something that got the job done. Similarly, that Apple Watch knockoff that we looked at the other week, pretty much the same system, just compacted down even smaller to use the best tech of the day from a decade ago to do something that would have been inconceivable 30 years ago. It's cute. I like this thing. Thanks for watching, guys.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave us a like. And if you want to see inside of something, leave a comment with your suggestion. If you want to support the channel, share this video with a friend, or check out hacksmith.store. And if you want to see inside of everything, get subscribed.